is copyrighted by the Rad Network and the Rob and Steve Sports Show, all found at theradnetwork.com, and is for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, account, or descriptions of this madness without the express permission of the Rad Network and Williams Broadcasting and Rob's Really Mean Lawyers is prohibited. So just don't do it. This is the Rob and Steve Sports Show, a show all about the thrill of Rob's victories.
Weiss has just set a Super Bowl record with 12 catches. He's in motion. Montana, touchdown, John Taylor.
And the agony of Steve's defeats.
Lions need a play right here. Got to keep this drive alive. Takes the snap. He's back. Jared looks. Jared rolls to his right. Throws downfield. Incomplete. And for the second time in the second half, the Lions come up empty on fourth down.
And sometimes even the agony of Rob's defeats.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone. In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
But mostly it's about sports and nothing but sports. Email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
Well, right on cue. And as predicted, the trickle continues. The NFL, the schedule will be released on Thursday, although by then we're pretty much going to know everything except who is playing one of the 4 p.m. games on the East Coast on Week 14. Other than that, we'll know everything by then. So I'll go through what we know here in a moment. But let's get this over with, Steve, because I say that because we have to do it after last night, and because we're going to do it probably 17 times between now and whenever we know what the hell's going on. And we said, this is what happens. Every time a team loses and they're in the playoffs, no matter what the sport is, first thing you do is the autopsy. What can the team do? Are they for real? Can they be there again? And not so much. And sometimes it's a player. What are they going to do with Giannis? What are they going to do with Joel Embiid, etc.? We all knew what was coming. LeBron James, 41 years old, played 40 minutes last night and finished with 24 points and a game-high 12 rebounds as L.A. led in the final minute, but they couldn't close the victory, and they were swept by OKC 115-110. Game 4 over. And now OKC gets to take some time and rest up, etc. Nobody's talking about that for a few days. As we said, it's all about LeBron, the Lakers, etc. LeBron gave his boilerplate answers. We can deal with those later. But now we get to start answering this, Steve. Do the Lakers, do they build around Luka? I know you're not the biggest Luka fan on the planet. What does LeBron do? And what do the Lakers do about LeBron? Those are two completely different questions. Are the Lakers real contenders if they build around Luka? Can they build around Luka? Where does LeBron go if he's not a Laker? Is he going to play next year? Pick your favorites and go.
Well, I think the Lakers have no choice. They have to build around Luka. He is their star player. He's the one who's going to put fans in the stands. I'm really looking at this Laker roster, and I'm questioning, I think they have quite a ways to go. I'm not that impressed with the roster. I like Reeves. I do like Luka. If I'm right, Rui Hachimura is a free agent or has a player option at the end of this year. The bright spot, if I'm a Lakers fan, though, is I don't think LeBron's going to come back. And he's made his comments a couple of different times with, I had to accept being the third option. I've never been a third option at any time in my lifetime. I had to adapt to that, and he did a great job. He really did. But that's going to free up, what is it, $52 million or something like that, which allows the Lakers to go out and get a much younger player that they can use that to build some depth on this roster as well. And I think the Lakers will be better. I'm still not convinced that Luka could win a championship with his style of play. Unless he does change some things and they surround themselves with a lot of really good talent. But I don't think Luka's going to share the ball enough to be able to keep all that other talent if they get to that point. satisfied with their minutes, their points, and their stats that they want because they also want to get paid, these huge salaries that come out of the NBA.
Rui Hashimura, by the way, is an unrestricted free agent as we head into the offseason. I'm going to jump to at one point you said the Lakers might have a long way to go when you're looking at the roster. Let me play devil's advocate here. They're in the West. The West is just a monster. They got through round one of the playoffs. They got swept by the defending champs, maybe the best team. We'll know. Is it really that bad? Is this just Laker hate? How did they get so far? How did they have that incredible march? These would be the things that a lot of people would ask.
Well, Lucas stepped up in March and had a great March. But when DeAndre Ayton, this guy to me has always been a coach killer. He has all the talent. He can perform what he wants to. It's just he isn't motivated to play game in and game out. And it's difficult to go deep in the playoffs when you have a player that at moments can dominate a game, but the majority of his career he has not. And then you get into the bench. Marcus Smart stepped up, had a good, but are you really going anywhere with Bronny James? And I know that you can't even fully throw that out there, but he burns a roster spot. Kleba is a good player, but he's not doing that much. Vanderbilt, Thero, Jackson Hayes, good last game, but Jackson Hayes hasn't continued to develop like you would hope he would. Luke Kennard stepped in. I thought he and Marcus Smart stepped in with the injuries to the guards and played great, but I just, I expected more from Dalton Connect than he's given at this point. I thought last year he had stepped up and was doing much more, but he really isn't contributing. So when you look at that roster, I mean, James, Hachimura, Ayton, Smart, Reeves, and throw out Smart and put Luka, it's a pretty good starting lineup. Questions there. But then you go into that bench and it's just not a bench that it appears that someone can step in due to an injury and still fill for 15 to 20 points as a quality person. You need that 8-man rotation. I like to go 10. I just, that lineup, that roster doesn't, wow, this is the best. And I'll go to the Nuggets. The Nuggets haven't had depth, but the Nuggets starting five there for several years was as good as a starting five as anyone in the NBA. If you have that, if you're the Boston Celtics and you have that, but the Lakers starting five is not one of the very best in the NBA, in my opinion.
All right. What about I just heard right before we came on the air, Steve, a prominent, everybody knows his name, national sports media figure. He is a Laker homer, not obnoxiously so, but doesn't hide it. Who said that JJ Redick just had the best series as a head coach to ever be swept. I don't think lose. I think he said be swept. Now that's funny. I also laughed, but I don't know if it's the same reason. I laughed because in my mind, my linear left brain, logical mind, I went, that's not possible. How can you, what, we're giving out the award, this is like the 90s, the trophy for everyone thing. The award for the best coaching job while being swept. That's not that was what I was laughing at. My question, you can comment on that, but also, is JJ Redick, you said, I don't know if Luka can win a final. Can JJ Redick get them to a final? And give the Lakers what they need. How a little bit's the how important is the coach thing in the NBA, but is Redick the guy? He's going to be the guy, but is he the guy?
I don't know if Redick is the guy because I question, the development of Jackson Hayes, Dalton Connect, Jake LaRavia. I question the development of some of these younger players. I don't think they're developing and getting a quality role with the team And I'm sorry, that is a participation award. The greatest coaching for a team that got swept. Oh my gosh, let's just throw anything out there. I might be able to give it to them if they got beat 4 times in overtime, something to that extent, had some injuries to some star players. And I know Luca was down and Austin Reeves, but I mean, they got blown out in a couple of these games. I just, 108 to 90 isn't close. 125 to 107 isn't close. 131 to 108 isn't close. So, oh, great job. They should have lost by 50 in every game without JD Redick. That's what they would have done. I find that hard to believe. I think that's just trying to find any slim can to salvage it, that the Lakers, they still just played so great.
So let's go back to where we started. LeBron James, as I said, what you would expect out of him. Non-committal after the game, said, you guys have been asking me about retirement, talking to the reporters. I don't think I've come out and I've been like, oh, retirement is coming with my future. I don't know, honestly. It's obviously still fresh from losing the series. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for me. Gonna meet with the family next several weeks. He's gonna reflect. And then he said at the end, if I can commit to still being in love with the process of showing up to the arena 5.5 hours before a game to start preparing for a game, giving everything I got, diving for loose balls, doing everything that you know that it takes to go out and play, dot, 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 basically saying that's when I'll come back. And he continued talking about basically saying, did he actually say it or not? He basically was saying, look, I know I'm going to give him the friendly translation. I know we're professional athletes and we make tens of millions of dollars. You guys still don't understand it's work. It's a job. I'm old. I don't know if I want to get up at this time, go to bed at this time, travel this much. That would be the nice version of what I think he was saying. He just got swept, all that, etc. So there's two things here, Steve. One, you said in there, and we just kind of glossed over it, but you said you don't think LeBron is coming back to the Lakers or to the NBA.
I don't think LeBron's coming back to the Lakers, and I think the Lakers would be very smart in order to allow him to walk. I pick up, as I said, that 52 million that I can go and try to develop this roster, bring in another star that's much younger, that's going to help my team develop, that works well with Luca, and I just start building from there.
We've talked about this. We've played this game, you and I have, for a couple months. The where does LeBron wind up then? If that is the scenario, we've heard Cleveland a million times. Cleveland was a 99.9% deal, then it was a no deal, and now it's just sitting there. You and I have speculated about the Knicks. Would he want to be able to go to New York and be the guy that saves the Knicks, that presumes they don't win the championship this year? We've talked about he loves LA, he loves his family, he loves being there. If he doesn't play for the Lakers, what do you think LeBron? What do you think right now today LeBron does? All I know.
I'm pretty much at the point of the only team I can see LeBron coming back to would be the Golden State Warriors.
I
I,
knew
I, I
it.
don't see that happening. And you just throw him in New York. I mean, Jalen Brunson runs that offense. He's the star. Is LeBron really going to be touching the ball and running the offense, and Jalen Brunson's going to take a backseat? I can't see that happening. I don't see how that makes the Knicks a better team. I don't think he'd leave the Lakers to go to the Clippers. I just don't see that as an option. He's an LA guy, everything's there. So I can't go to the Clippers. If I'm Cleveland, look, you've left me twice. I mean, how many times am I going to remarry my ex-wife? I just, there's a reason she's my ex-wife. Hey, we're reconciled once before, but to go down that road over and over again, I don't think helps. Is LeBron going to take like 10 or 20 million dollars, or is he going to want 50 million? You got to be able to fit it into the cap. I don't think he's worth that type of money anymore. I don't think he contributes at that level. The Warriors are all in. Kerr came back. I have to believe that LeBron somehow fitting in with the Warriors has to be a part of it, because they can bring him in as a free agent. So they're not giving up anything or trading anyone off that roster. They can bring him to fill in. You still have Steph Curry there, but we've seen Steph with Kevin Durant can really adjust his game to whatever he needs to do for the betterment of the team. I wish so many more athletes would follow that example and understand it's about winning as a team, not necessarily your individual stats. So, with that, I mean, what I don't really see another team that LeBron fits at with his style of play other than the Warriors. I don't see another fit that would work.
And since he is a free agent, he gets to decide, does he go anywhere? And so it does have to fit with him, his lifestyle, these other things that we're talking about, which I guess kind of sort of does answer a little bit one of the other questions I have. When he says to the reporters last night after the game that he doesn't know, I've told you the whole time I don't know, I got to go talk to. Do you think he doesn't know?
I hope he doesn't know. I really believe in the athletes taking some time. Look, it's an emotional series. Your season just ended. Take some time. Don't jump to any conclusions. uh, Answer something you shouldn't answer to the media. Take a month off, reflect on the season, find out what you want. And I'd love to have somebody fact check LeBron. I mean, is he really showing up at 8 o'clock in the morning for an 11 o'clock practice? And not saying he hasn't throughout his career, but I'm questioning whether or not he's doing that with the Lakers and showing up at what, 2 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game. And not saying he's not, because I think it would be wonderful if he really was showing the players this is what it takes to be great. This is why I am considered one of the best of all time. I just find it hard to believe that he really did that day in and day out with the Lakers. I'd love somebody to fact check that.
So this was when because I kind of paraphrased the end of it, but this is when he's talking about in order for him to come back and play at all, he's got to commit to still being in love with the process and showing up to the arena 5.5 hours before a game, blah, blah, blah. And then I said he goes on this diatribe. Well, here's the exact quote, though. Quote, showing up to practices, 11 o'clock practice. I'm there at 8, preparing my body, preparing my mind, preparing to practice, to put the work in. For me, I've always been in love with the process, so that will be a big factor, end quote. So that's what he's claiming.
And I just would love to hear Allen Iverson practice. It's practice. What's Iverson saying? He ain't showing up at 11 for practice, let alone at 8 o'clock to prepare.
As a fan of the game, I would love the Golden State Warriors thing to happen, because it doesn't matter what happens as a fan. I don't have a horse in the race. You either get to see, the old guys come together, Kerr and Steph and LeBron and all the jokes about their walkers and stuff, and do that thing that a lot of us want to see. Hey, look, old guys, the old comeback like Tiger Woods and all these other things, or they just melt, they just disintegrate. That's still great fodder. It's great chaos. So I would love to see it happen. I have no idea what's going to happen, but when you say ultimately, as you broke it down, and because LeBron's the unrestricted free agent, he's worth $1 billion. He can do whatever he wants to do. We know he's got a little ego thing, like all of us do, especially when you achieve at such a level like he does. When you say you don't see any other team that would fit than the Warriors, if that doesn't come to pass, are you suggesting we've seen the last of LeBron? We're just going to get a little announcement here in a month or so?
It wouldn't surprise me if he did walk away. I don't see where he fits. And I'd love to see him go to the Warriors. And I'm with you. I'd love to see the old guys take it to it, have a great season, honestly, and then fade in the playoffs. Just get swept out again, because then I want to hear how Steve Kerr just had the greatest coaching job ever done by a coach that got swept in the playoffs as well.
We got more NBA to talk about in a few moments, as promised at the beginning. Oh wait, I should probably double check. It's been 17 minutes. Any more announcements from the NFL? Not announcing their schedule, but announcing their schedule endlessly. NFL doesn't require. Oh Christ, don't care about that. All right, here's what we know: the schedule is going to be released on Thursday for this season. The international schedule, what are we down to? 4 games we don't know, will be released this Wednesday. That's tomorrow. And so they've been leaking out and trickling out various things about who's going to play when. This is what the NFL does. I was laughing at myself, because we get caught up in this stuff. Some of these announcements are so meaningless, was like, oh wow, Peacock's gonna have a Saturday game. I'm like, why do I care? I've got what? It's not an announcement. It's it's the adrenaline of football, I guess. So here's what we know. We're okay. We know that Seattle will open up the season on Wednesday after Labor Day at home. We don't know who they're going to play. Thursday, it'll be the Niners and the Rams in Australia. And Sunday this is the opening weekend, Giants and Cowboys. What is it, like the 8th time in the last 15 years they've played on Sunday Night Football? We now know the first Monday Night Football game of the season, which will feature a matchup of the last 2 AFC West champions. It does answer one of the Steve Mickelson questions, too, though. The Broncos and Chiefs will meet to cap off the Week 1 schedule. I love how they write this. The location of the game is still being finalized. No, it isn't. They just haven't announced it. Of course, it's been finalized. They'll announce the rest of the schedule on Thursday. Okay, so what you alluded to, Steve, was we've known all of the opponents since February of who each team's going to play when the schedule comes out on Thursday. We haven't known when. We do know where. We know who's going to be home or whatever, but we didn't know when. And you had perhaps suggested that Patrick Mahomes, who wasn't supposed to be able to play Week 1, maybe all the way till Week 5, who knows? Now they're saying he might be ready for Week 1. But would the NFL give the Chiefs a little bit of a soft schedule, maybe that first month, so that behind Justin Fields' backup, maybe the Chiefs go 2-2 or whatever? Well, we know they got to play the Broncos on Monday Night Football in Game 1, and we don't know which. Do we know? Do we know where that one is? Did I say?
Nope.
Broncos and Chiefs. They didn't. Oh, that's right, because it's Broncos Chiefs, so it could be either. There's no way to know.
Yes.
So, does this tell you anything? That the Broncos and Chiefs will meet up in Week 1? I mean, the Broncos, hello, they were this close to the Super Bowl.
Yes, but if you remember, Bo Nix went down pretty much on the last play of the last game that he played and came off the field, and we didn't even realize that he was injured until after that. He had surgery, I believe, on his ankle or whatever it was. So there's still questions on whether or not Bo Nix is going to be 100% healthy. So I think it makes sense to open the season with that matchup. Both quarterbacks may be back. They might be out. Are they going to be 100%? So it fits the narrative of allowing a good team to play the Chiefs, whose quarterback, by the way, is injured himself.
Right. No, I like that. And it is also a safe cover for the NFL in general, because it's the first Monday night game. It's the first one. So even if both backups are playing, you presume America's going to watch first Monday night game, 2 big teams. So that's a safe one. But whether or not it plays, we got to see weeks 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 for the Chiefs to see if it plays to any type of conspiracy over Patrick Mahomes not being ready. Now, what it does also do, though, is we play roulette. Like there are dudes that are lucky enough to be sitting around bars right now, and this is all they're doing is they're playing roulette, trying to figure out the schedule. I think that people have brackets now to predict the schedule. It's nuts. With the Chiefs, they are the 5th. So the Chiefs, we know who they're playing in Week 1. They're playing the Broncos, right? Well, they're the 5th of the Seahawks' potential Week 1 opponents to have their opening game revealed, because we know the teams that will play in Seattle. Seattle's going to open up at home on Wednesday. Well, they're not going to play the Chiefs. We know that because the Chiefs are playing on Monday night. They're not going to play the Niners or the Rams. They're in Australia. And they won't play the Giants or the Cowboys because they're playing Sunday night. So, there's such an obvious answer here, and I feel like they're going to screw the pooch. And I think I know which direction they're going to go. Who do the Seahawks host to open up the season on that Wednesday night? You've only got the Cardinals, the Chargers, the Bears, and the Patriots as the remaining options for the first game of the 2026 NFL season. Am I the only idiot in the room that thinks it's obvious you put the Patriots there?
I thought that immediately, that's the game they're going to have, the Super Bowl rematch. Here we go. The Seahawks give out their ring. I mean, talk about awesome. They give out their ring ceremony in front of the Patriots and everything else there. Hey, not only did we beat you and celebrate there at the end of the game, but now we're going to show our ring ceremony to you as well.
You have to do that.
You do.
You have to do, because Not every year would the Patriots be, you can't always do a Super Bowl matchup the following year because the winning team doesn't always play that division in the other conference. It's right there.
And on top of it, not only is it, but it's in Seattle's home. So the Super Bowl champion always hosts it. So I think they play each other, once every 6 years? So this is a once every 12 years. That should have been when the schedule and their opponents came out. That should have been already starred on the board. This has to be the opening week opponent.
I will be stunned if it is. There's only 3 other choices. You can't do it. So, like, my Monday Night Football logic was, if both the Chiefs and the Broncos are not playing Mahomes and Knicks, respectively, it's Monday Night Football. It's the first Monday Night Football game of the year. People will still watch. The NFL would be covered on the ratings side, or whatever. You can't argue that for the opening game of the season. They'll still be covered on the ratings. Yes, duh. 50 million of us are going to watch on that Wednesday. You can't, if you're the NFL, have the Super Bowl champions open the season hosting the Arizona Cardinals, which is one of the other choices. No. And then the Chargers and the Bears. Okay, 2 good opponents, 2 opponents we think are playoff bad. The Patriots have to be it. See, and when I said I think they're going to screw this up, and I think I know who, I'm wondering if they're going to put the Bears there, because everybody's got the Bears in the NFC Championship game already. We haven't done any predictions or anything, but I mean, that's why, because that's ridiculous. It's May.
Not me. I think I have them 3rd in the division, which you almost spit up your drink at the time when you heard where I have them.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous, but so is NFC Championship, I think, but we'll get there. Anywho, all right. Next up, still more NFL schedule leaks. The Bills have a new stadium, and we now know, this is so stupid, they will open their new stadium in week 2. Buffalo will host Steve's Detroit Lions. Oh, that's a good game on Thursday Night Football on my birthday, September 17th. It'll be the first game played at Highmark Stadium. That's the Bills' new stadium. It'll be on Amazon Prime because it's a Thursday night game. So week 2, all right. I like that matchup. Your Lions at the Bills, and the premiere of, what is it, Highmark Stadium.
I think that's a great way to start the season. You can't go to Kansas City at that point because you still want to make sure that Mahomes is playing. You don't want to run any risk of Mahomes not playing in that game. So the Lions, the last time the Bills played the Lions, I want to say, man, it was like 49-44, something like that, a couple of years ago. I think that's as good of an opponent as they could pick for that game.
Well, yeah, I agree. And you're going to get the old potential Super Bowl preview.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. Okay, also a couple other announcements. NBC announced, we already told you this one yesterday, that they're going to do 2 Saturday games in week 17. The later game will only be on Peacock. So this is the old, we're going to play football on a Saturday in late December, week 17. That might even be early January when we see the schedule. Either way, so the early game, quote, will be at 1:30 Pacific time, and then the late game is the 5 o'clock game, Saturday night, week 17. That is only on Peacock. That we had yesterday. We don't know. This is how dumb this is. We don't know any teams. We don't know the teams that are playing on week 17 on these Saturday games, but we get all so excited over this.
And think about it, because the NFL is able to do it. That they're just announcing who's going to be showing the game, not opponents. Just this will be a Peacock game, and we're actually talking about it. That's right. Is only the NFL could get away with this. They can just, as we were talking yesterday, they can drag this out with that. Oh, these 2 are going to be playing like we're seeing with the Broncos, Chiefs. The 2 are going to be playing, but we're not going to tell you where it's going to be playing, because I can now announce that. In addition, on another day, the NFL just makes so much money.
And I'm trying to think in my head, okay, what exactly do any of us logically do with this information on Tuesday, May 12th, that Peacock has a Saturday night game in week 17? The only scenario that I even come up with, which is so stupid, is that you can get it in your family calendar that much quicker that dad's busy on week 17. There is no palpable anything to this news that I've just reported. There's
Uh,
nothing tangible that I just gave you at all, and it's a major story.
the only thing that it does is give me a little heartburn because I know, okay, here's another game that's going to cost me money. How much is it going to cost me to show this game in a sports book and for me to watch this game at home?
Also, CBS announced. Wait, where did we leave off here? So we left off with the Peacock game. Oh, that's right. I haven't even gotten to the new announcement. I was just recapping what they said yesterday. Okay, so yesterday NBC said we got 2 games on Saturday of Week 17. This morning, CBS announced that it has added another national game to their package of broadcasts for the 2026 season. So remember, we're excited about Peacock in week 17 having a Saturday night game and NBC having a Saturday afternoon game. We now know that CBS will televise a game on Saturday, December 19th. That's week 15 at 5 o'clock Pacific time. End of announcement.
Good. CBS, that one's not going to cost me money anywhere. And where I'm going with this, for those who don't know, all of these games that are one-offs, they sell it to commercial businesses for a set fee. So every single one of them, we have to go sign a contract and, pay it for that one game. And this is in addition to all the money like fans at home who have to buy the NFL package with the used to be the belief that I now have every game that's not covered under the blackout rules, so I still get my local games. But all these one-offs, it's just okay. I got to get the contract for that. I got to get the contract for this. It gets old.
So that's who these announcements are helping, because otherwise this is as stupid as the other one. Okay, we now know, and wait, there's more to the announcement. So week 17, NBC on a Saturday has a 1 o'clock game, and then Peacock at 5:30. Okay, that's week 17. Week 15, they're not even announcing them in order anymore. We now know that CBS has a primetime game at 5 o'clock on that Saturday night, December 19th, week 15. And Fox will have the early game that day. So we're going to get Saturdays with these 1 and 5 games. No announcement on teams or anything, just that it'll be on Fox and CBS. I really am finding this more and more ridiculous, and I'm questioning my career choices. One more. The Cowboys Thanksgiving Day game annually is the highest rated regular season game of the NFL season, regardless of who they play. The Chiefs were Dallas's opponent on Thanksgiving of last year. That game did set a new regular season ratings record, and now we know this is not the schedule announcement. That's Thursday. You just know this. You just get this little tidbit. We now know the NFL has announced that the Cowboys will host for Thanksgiving this year, 1:30 Pacific time, the Eagles in week 12. So you got a good little rivalry game, good opponent for the 1:30 game. Cowboys, by the way, are 35-22-1 all time on Thanksgiving Day and have won their past 4 games. Of course, Steve, your Detroit Lions also play on Thanksgiving as well. They'll have the other game.
Yes, and I'd love to give the Lions a little bit of credit to adding to that viewership for the Dallas Cowboys, because the Lions games normally suck. So everybody schedules their meals either right before the Cowboy game or right after the Cowboy game, and they either sleep in or get ready for their meal if it's before. So thank you, Detroit Lions, for being that doormat and helping the Cowboys reach those outstanding ratings every single year.
So for me, it's always been try as best you can to time out the meal is eaten at halftime as close as you can of the Cowboy game, because the Cowboy game's the later one or the middle one. Now it's always the later one for us. And so you can kind of go, okay, it's about 3:30 ish, and hopefully, but you're right, everything is planned around that. Are we gonna do like if you're West Coast time, like a noon? We're gonna eat at noon, like before the Cowboys game, or 12:30 after, do we want to wait till 5 because then there's that other? You're so right. Everything is planned around that. Now, you for Thanksgiving, your tradition, you've told the story forever. You actually work on Thanksgiving, right? So
Yes, because there's no reason not to get paid to watch the Lions play football. It's one of the
right.
beauties of my job. And normally I would sneak out as the halftime hit for the Cowboy game, but this is rolling back before they started the night games. Now
Yeah.
my family pretty much does Thanksgiving without me every time. And like when I was in Vegas, one year my family came and joined me at the coffee shop there at work, and I think we ate in between the Cowboy game and the 5 o'clock game, and just, yeah, okay, there's my Thanksgiving.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime advertiser Sue Berry, that's Berry with an A, is more important now than ever. Sue and her team have been serving Northern Nevada and the outlying areas for 30 years, and her experience in both commercial and residential lending is vital, as every day we're bombarded with news of interest rates, the market, the economy, and a bunch of other stuff that Sue can actually make sense of while everyone else's eyes glaze over. Now remember, it's Sue Berry with an A, B-A-R-R-Y, SueBerry.com. Most people think berry is spelled like a fruit or Halle Berry, but no, it's Sue Berry with an A, like soul singer Barry White's first name.
I've heard people say.
Stop that. Sue is a broker versus a retail lender, which means she can shop over 150 different lenders to get you the very best rate possible. And on average, someone who uses a broker like Sue saves over $10,000 per loan, which includes refinancing. And if you have a rate at 6.5% or higher, call Sue for a free quote now on a refinance. Sue Berry and her incredible team from Barrett Financial can be found at SueBerry.com. That's Berry with an A. I've been working with Sue and recommending her to you for years. All you need to do is call her now so she can get you pre-approved. Just call your residential and commercial lending expert, Sue Berry, at 775-843-9983. Oh, Rob, stop. You're going too fast. What was the number again? 775-843-9983. Or just head to SueBerry.com. The number's right there. Berry is B-A-R-R-Y. Sue Berry with an A.com. That's Sue Berry, B-A-R-R-Y.com. SueBerry.com.
Disclaimer, Sue Berry, NMLS number 366040. Barrett Financial Group, LLC, NMLS number 181106, Nevada 5091, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP. MAP, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you, all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com.
You know those guys you see in a sports bar laughing and enjoying each other and just talking sports? That's this. Back to the Rob and Steve Show. Email them, ras@theradnetwork.com.
Well, this isn't the fun kind of breaking news. One of the cool things about the time slot when Steve and I are live is that we almost always get the best breaking news because the East Coast, it's almost 3 o'clock on the East Coast. They start to slowly shut down as our show goes on. But every now and then, this was just announced. Memphis Grizzlies forward Brandon Clark has died at the age of 29. Cause of death not announced. Grizzlies said in the statement they're heartbroken. Outstanding teammate, even better person. Priority Sports, his agency said in a statement, it's impossible to put in words how much he'll be missed. Drafted first round by OKC in 2019, traded to Memphis, where he spent his 7-year career. Nothing. That's it. That's the entirety of the report. No word on anything at all, any speculation. But come on, 29. Good Lord. All right, let's do this. Donovan Mitchell, Steve, recorded one of the best scoring halves in NBA playoff history, matching a lead record with 39 points in the second half of the Cavaliers' 112-103 victory in Game 4 on Monday night that evened their second-round series with your Detroit Pistons 2-2. Mitchell finished the game with 43 points, and bring it on. Here we go. It's like every game this postseason, it feels like. After Detroit's Game 4 loss to the Cavaliers last night, Pistons coach J.B. Bickerstaff lamented the officiating, this time going after free throw disparity. Not saying he's not right or wrong. It just seems like everybody is running to a mic in this postseason to bitch about the officiating and the players, especially, and now coaches as well. The Pistons attempted 12 free throws to Cleveland's 34. That's a disparity, if you know the definition of the word. Bickerstaff said, quote, it's unacceptable. We didn't do enough, obviously, to help ourselves. And I'll start there. But ever since we came to Cleveland, the whistle has changed. There's no way that one guy on their team shoots more free throws than our entire team. We're not a settle team. We're not a jump shooting team. We drive the ball, attack the paint. What was done out there tonight is frustrating. We can't allow that to be the reason why. Pistons attempted 55 free throws in the first 2 games of the series, both Detroit victories at home. In the past 2 games, the Pistons have shot 34. Numbers 55 in Detroit. Meanwhile, the Cavaliers attempted 43 free throws in the first 2 games to Detroit's 55. And in the last 2 matchups, while the Pistons have shot 34, the Cavs have shot 52. So, Mr. Detroit, legitimate gripe. And is this why the series is tied? And do you agree that, the stats don't lie, but has this been a whistle issue?
I think it's a couple of things. One, I don't think it's really changed that much, even though, the Cavs made 21 more free throws than the Pistons did. That's 21 points on a board that you only lost by 9. The part where I'm glad that Bickerstaff spoke up to about this and why, it'd be different if Detroit was a perimeter shooting team. This is a team that transition, attacks the hole, brings it at the basket. They're not a great perimeter shooting team, so their style is to go into the paint and create those fouls and force that play. And then if you're still doing that and you're not getting any whistles, and the other team's, point guard is getting 15 free throws compared to your 12, it kind of makes you wonder a little bit why my guys can take it inside and get banged around and you're not going to blow the whistle. But it seems more on the other side that they are much more willing to blow the whistle on various little, and I don't want to say touch fouls, but kind of off the touch fouls. It doesn't make sense to me. Detroit is a team that's going to be near the top in fouls called against them. Never going to argue against that. That's the style they play. But their style is also to force whistles to be blown against their opponent. So Detroit games should have more free throws when they play than most any other game during the season. And to have it be called one side, I find that difficult to swallow, because their style really creates whistles for both teams.
It's one thing when the coaches make these claims and the numbers don't back them up. When the numbers like you actually, because at first I was like more whining, and then I remember this morning I was sitting at my dining room table getting the shows ready, and when I got to the numbers, the disparity, I was like, oh my, oh that is. So my question though would be this: Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, they made careers out of this, right? They would publicly basically intimidate or try to. There's no empirical evidence if it ever worked, but that was the idea: was we're going to back our guys, we're going to say things, we're going to put it on the map, we're going to make the refs self-conscious. Does that still work? Look, Bickerstaff's got to defend his team, defend his guys. He took responsibility, said we got to do better for us, blah 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 blah, and then he just hammers the ref. Does this work? Does this make the refs? We had the same discussion with ABS. Does it make umps more or less inclined to make calls that are questionable? Same thing with the refs. You're in the playoffs. That spotlight's on you. There's fewer and fewer games. Does it work?
I have to believe it does. Just even if it's subconsciously, just hey, look, we got to call it both ways. We can't just let one team get it. I would have been probably more disappointed if Bickerstaff came out and said it after Game 3, going into Game 4. Look, we got the 2 games in Cleveland. We got a much bigger sample of it. I'm not worried as Detroit as far as as they say, until a road team wins a game, the series really doesn't start. Detroit still has 2 of these next 3 at home, but they do need to be aware of it and be more conscious that Detroit's style is going to bring whistles, but it needs to be both sides. You can't just blow it on them playing defense and then allow the other team to make that happen.
As we reported earlier, OKC swept the Lakers. They're done. That means they're resting. And if these series right now, Minnesota and San Antonio, goes 7 games, that Game 7 would be Sunday. Last time I checked, yesterday was Monday, so the OKC would have a full week and a day, if my math is right, at least, before they play again. Whereas either the Spurs or the T-Wolves, if it goes through the weekend, will be coming off of a 7-game brutal, we presume, it's already been pretty physical series. And we talked, Steve, about, with hockey guys, they're like, get me out there. And then I said, okay, same idea. Basketball, is it good to rest or does it get you out of that's a lot. The OKC could have a very long break. I mean, we're going to talk about the T-Wolves and the Spurs here in a second, but it ended tonight. There's no way that one's ending tonight. The earliest it could end would be Friday. OKC's going to have basically at about a week minimum and maybe even more. So good. This is the team that's played all these games the last couple of years. Good to have at least a week off or out of rhythm.
I'm more worried about OKC than, say, the Knicks about being out of rhythm. They've been so good. A lot of young ball players. Do they lose focus? They spend the week going, next run up, we'll take whoever wins this, and we're on our way to winning the championship and take it a little bit lighter. I think the Knicks have a much more veteran team that understands they need to take care of business, use this to help yourself recover, get ready for that next round. But the focus for OKC is the part that worries me. I still think they're clearly the best team. I still believe they're going to win the NBA championship. But with a young team like that, they may not be fully ready to go come Game 1.
So, and that a lot of that is what we right? The culture, management, ownership, culture, the coach, because they are still young, and young men with a lot of money. We're all prone to do really stupid stuff, and you've got to have that rigid. Like, I mean, especially if we're talking 8 or 9 days, as I do the math. I mean, if this thing goes 7 with the T-Wolves, OKC could be close to 10 days if the NBA really wanted to stretch this out. That's a lot of downtime. When you're like, dude, we want to play. We're tired of watching other people play. Oh, there isn't even a game, Thursday night this week. So that's what that's going to come down to. Tonight, we're at 2. Minnesota, San Antonio. Let me see if you agree with this, Steve. NBA.com this morning, their headline was three things to watch in the Spurs Timberwolves game 5. So it doesn't matter which team. These are the three things NBA.com said you got to look for. You got to look for Wembanyama. Basically, I'm going to translate. What they're saying is Wembanyama's got to basically put the entire team on his back. Because they say he and the Spurs have little wiggle room. Do they want to go back to Minnesota down 3-2? Because there's no other mention of Wemby other than he's got to play at both ends to exact his retribution for maybe not even playing this game, but he was cleared of the suspension. The other thing, Nas Reed had that right ankle sprain, or did he? He's playing the best of his 4 postseasons, and then both teams have shooting problems. Of those three, do you agree with any or all of them?
I wish I could say that Wemby doesn't have to carry this team, but I've been saying that that seems to be the case. De'Aaron Fox is questionable for this game with an ankle injury, so it's going to be curious to see, if he's able to go. I have to believe he's going to go in this game. Um, the Timberwolves, when they are right, they are as good as anybody in the league. When they are wrong, and they're just too inconsistent for me. I'd like to say that they're going to step up. Jade McDaniels has had a really good series and has played well. Nas Reed is such a big part, and he's one of those. I almost put him into that unsung hero superstar type of thing because Nas Reed, when he's on, he creates such a difficult time for opponents to shut down that offense because Nas can do everything. He can shoot from outside. He can be the big guy in the middle and clog things up. He creates the mismatches, which really then also allows Anthony Edwards to do what he does. And it gives Julius Randle that opportunity to just be the big guy to enforce some pain, get some rebounds. And my problem with Randle is Randle likes to be too much of the shooter, where I like him more where he's playing more of the defense and just being the true center in the NBA. But when they're right, this Wolves team is tough. So it's going to be interesting. Wembyana, shot blocker, defensive player of the year. But if Reed and Randall's keep banging on him, is that going to wear him down? And then they need Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell to step up. They have to do something to find some scoring and not just sit there and rely on Wemby to do it all.
I mentioned both teams have shooting issues. The Spurs have struggled from deep. They are just 32.5% on 3-pointers. The Wolves are scattering from the foul line, missing 29 of 95 freebies so far, which is 69% accuracy. So that's a little sloppy. Minnesota's at San Antonio. That's tonight. NBC, the game is at 5 o'clock Pacific time. Meanwhile, the Colorado Avalanche changed their dynamics. Remember, we told you about the goalie switch, and then they did some other roster changes, and they have, against the Minnesota Wild, gone out last night. 5 different players secured a 5-2 win by each scoring a goal last night, and now the Avalanche have a 3-1 lead in the series. They're on the brink of the Western Conference Finals. A period. Minnesota's commanding 5-1 win in Saturday's Game 3. That's when Colorado lost their first game of the postseason, and when Jared Bednar, coach, changed goaltenders in the second period with the belief that more adjustments could be made ahead of Game 4, which they did. And basically, Steve, the Avalanche are, without being obnoxious, they're not doing bulletin board material. All the reporting is, everybody is traveling with them, is like they feel it. The Avalanche feels like whatever magic that Bednar did with out of nowhere, we're just going to change the goaltender. They feel like this is our series to lose.
It is their series. It's always been their series to lose, and they went with Blackwood in this last game. He's had a fine season as well. As good of a season the Wild have had, the Avalanche are just so strong. They outplayed them on the road. They rebounded from that loss and showed to me why I believe they are the best team in the NHL. And they did it late too. I mean, you're talking 1-1 going into the third, and then just, hey, look, man, we're taking this over.
It is. I'd probably ask this after the series ended, but as long as we brought it up, is the Wild ever going to get over the hump? Are they poised?
They're close. They have some with Kaprizov. They have some really good players. Eriksson Ek being out has not done, and Broden being out has not done them any favors because they need both of those players on the ice, and they haven't been able to get that. I just don't know if the Wild are truly a good enough team to win the Stanley Cup. I think they're one of those teams that's close, but I'm not sure they're there yet.
They will play tomorrow night, Minnesota, Colorado, with Colorado up 3-1. For tonight, 2 NHL playoff games will go in order of interest. So the late game first, not that it's uninteresting. Both games on ESPN. 6:30 tonight. Vegas is at home against Anaheim. We are tied at 2-2, Steve, between the Ducks and the Golden Knights.
Yeah, Golden Knights right now are sitting at minus a buck 55 to 160. They need to find a way to get it done. This has been a great series. The Ducks came back, looked good in this last game with that 4-3 win. But it's been a hard fought. I've been impressed with both teams' goaltending. With Dostal has had a great series. Carter Hart has really stepped up for the Knights. It's just who's going to make the opportunities with their power plays, who's going to be able to shut down the opponent's power plays. I think that's what's going to come down to. And I'm pulling for the Knights. They still have 2 of the 3 home games here. So I'm giving I'll be cheering for the Knights, but this has been a great series, and I think it's going to continue to be that way.
So it's Anaheim at Vegas at 6:30 on ESPN. The early game. Now, see if you agree with this one as well, Steve. This is from WGR Sports Radio in Buffalo, who wrote that thanks to 2 very poor games, the Buffalo Sabres now trail their best of 7 second round Stanley Cup Series 2-1. And so the WGR Sports Radio guy said that you got me, Steve? You okay? You got me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I got your back.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Sorry, I have a little visual thing, and I'm like out of the corner of my eyes. You got me. Okay. So the WGR guy who covers sports radio in Buffalo said that Sunday was the worst defensive zone coverage he has seen out of the Sabres all year. The Canadiens used it to get open ice, uncovered the majority of the game. They basically handed the Canadiens 6 power plays, which kept the crowd wound up in a frenzy that never stopped. And he began the whole thing by saying that the Sabres have played 2 very poor games. Steve, he's telling me Cinderella's dying. Is it like that, Steve?
It is possible Cinderella is dying. I don't want to say Cinderella is dead yet, but the Canadians have just taken it to them in this last game on Sunday. And I want to say Montreal has really dominated the Sabres in 2 of these 3 games, which is where I'm a little disappointed. But Sunday's game, there was no chance. The arena was on fire. It was unbelievable. Everything the Canadians did fell their way. The Sabres didn't look prepared for the game in any way. I'm hoping they find a way, because they got to find a way to steal one in Montreal now. They need to even this up at 2-2, bring it back to Buffalo on even footing. If they go down 3-1 here, I'm not sure we even get to a game 6.
Buffalo is at Montreal. The game's at 4 o'clock on ESPN.
It's the Rob and Steve Sports Show, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP. MAP, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com. Longtime advertiser Sue Berry, that's Berry with an A, is more important now than ever. Sue and her team have been serving Northern Nevada and the outlying areas for 30 years, and her experience in both commercial and residential lending is vital, as every day we're bombarded with news of interest rates, the market, the economy, and a bunch of other stuff that Sue can actually make sense of while everyone else's eyes glaze over. Now remember, it's Sue Berry with an A, B-A-R-R-Y, SueBerry.com. Most people think berry is spelled like a fruit or Halle Berry, but no, it's Sue Berry with an A, like soul singer Barry White's first name.
I've heard people say.
Stop that. Sue is a broker versus a retail lender, which means she can shop over 150 different lenders to get you the very best rate possible. And on average, someone who uses a broker like Sue saves over $10,000 per loan, which includes refinancing. And if you have a rate at 6.5% or higher, call Sue for a free quote now on a refinance. Sue Berry and her incredible team from Barrett Financial can be found at SueBerry.com. That's Berry with an A. I've been working with Sue and recommending her to you for years. All you need to do is call her now so she can get you pre-approved. Just call your residential and commercial lending expert, Sue Berry, at 775-843-9983. Oh, Rob, stop. You're going too fast. What was the number again? 775-843-9983. Or just head to SueBerry.com. The number's right there. Berry is B-A-R-R-Y. Sue Berry with an A.com. That's Sue Berry, B-A-R-R-Y.com. SueBerry.com.
Disclaimer, Sue Berry, NMLS number 366040. Barrett Financial Group, LLC, NMLS number 181106, Nevada 5091, Equal Housing Opportunity.
This is the Rob and Steve Sports Show. Call the show at 888-587-5355 or email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
All right, to Major League Baseball we go. One of the things Steve has been hammering us with, particularly this year, all these prospects, all these young kids, and I mean, you've had us looking at everybody. Connor Griffin, who's the new guy with the M, the pitcher that throws 103 miles an hour?
Mizorowski.
Every team's shortstop. I don't know what has happened with these shortstops, but we love the phenoms. We love the young kids. All right, now, what about, here's a couple stories that caught my eye from the last 48 hours. Henry Bolt, he's the Athletics' number 5 prospect. Delivered his second consecutive 5-for-5 game during AAA Vegas's 13-8 loss on Saturday night at Las Vegas Ballpark. After collecting 5 extra base hits on Friday, Bolt delivered 4 more, 2 home runs and 2 doubles on Saturday, giving him 9 extra base hits in a 2-game stretch. Dating back to 1900 at the major league level, only 9 players have collected even 7 extra base hits in back-to-back contests. If you go all the way back to Thursday night, Henry Bolt, the Athletics' number 5 prospect, has collected a hit in 12 consecutive plate appearances, or had, as something not on record to have been achieved at the major league level in the entire expansion era. If you bring in the whole month of May, Bolt is 24 for 38 and has 46 total bases with a 1.861 OPS across 8 contests, leading the minors in almost every single major statistical category. Steve, is this part of we have more access to more news all the time. Every league has their own website. Media is trying to keep up. How many national 24/7 sports websites and channels are there? And we're hearing about this more? Or is this the old there's something in the water thing? All this training, all this thing, all this stuff we're doing with the kids, where, God, sometimes they're not even double digit and they're already in travel leagues. It's showing in terms of the level of talent that these kids are coming up with at 16, 19, etc. years old.
It's a combination of both. One, Bolt's having arguably the greatest 2 week stretch of any player in baseball history. I mean, outside of Barry Bonds, and I don't think you could put Barry Bonds in there because they wouldn't pitch to him through that, and he got a lot of walks. But he's on a roll. It's great to see. The other part is we just have so much more access to information. We can see this stuff. He's not in the, as you said, he's the A's fifth top prospect. So he's not even close to being in the top 100 minor league players going into the season. Doesn't mean that he's not going to move up, and the next one that comes out, he might move into that top 100. But it's great to see it. I've always liked to go and various sites that I use. I do try to keep up with the minor league players and what they're doing down there, getting ready for the different players. And the thing with the A's Athletics, Black Fire, whatever name you really want to give them, because we don't know where they're going to fully go to. Their future looks bright. A year ago, 2 years ago, I buried this franchise. Nothing was going right. And I know they gave up Mason Miller, and that's a tough one to give up. But Leo DeVries, I think he's going to be a star in the major leagues. He's that other shortstop to come up. I think Wilson's going to end up moving over to second base, and I think DeVries, you're going to love him. Uh, Hopefully, he is a Miguel Tejada during his best and for a much longer span than what we saw with Tejada with the A's.
By the way, Henry Bolt, in this incredible, 4 or 5 day span, he actually started the season 2 for 13, and then pounded 7 homers in April, topped them all on Wednesday of last week, a week ago tomorrow, when he obliterated a 479-foot round tripper. That's the farthest StatCast recorded hit of 2026 at any level, including the majors. That's it. 479 feet, and this Henry Bolt kid is the one that has it for now. You might also want to remember the name Brody. I think it's Bumia. It may be Bumilla, because I heard it both when I was trying to investigate. But he boosted his 2026 MLB draft stock this last Saturday. He's 6'9". He's a lefty. Stop me when this sounds like somebody you've heard of before. He posted video game numbers in his latest start for Bishop Feion High School in Massachusetts. That's a 6'9" high schooler in Massachusetts. Perfect game, 7-inning performance in which he struck out 20. With Bumia finding the majority of his success due to his fastball that can reach 100 miles an hour, he is ranked as the number 22 draft prospect in the 2026 Major League Draft. He has 69 strikeouts in just 27 innings of work this season. Similar question yesterday, Steve. This kid, he's 6'9", he's a high schooler, he's throwing 100 miles an hour. Is this too much? Is this that flame out thing?
It depends. If he's throwing a lot of travel ball, I am concerned with that. And we see even now high school kids that are hoping to get surgery that they can then come back and they'll be that much stronger. I'm curious if the one kid who didn't strike out because they play 7 innings in high school, he had 20 Ks. If that kid went out and they celebrated like he broke up the no-hitter or whatever, you put the ball in play, you're the greatest. Nobody else on our team could do that type of thing. So I'm just curious what he did after the game to celebrate his great game. But it gets into, and you talk about high velocity at all levels. How long is he throwing that? Is he throwing 150 innings of tournament ball through the course of the year? There's just so much there. I also, more than anything, I get concerned with burnout. They have these kids play tournament ball pretty much year round. They get what, like the middle of December through New Year's off for the most part, where they're not having their, their pitching lessons, their hitting lessons, along with all their tournaments. And I just think we go too much, too hard, too fast with all these kids. Every parent thinks their kid's going to play in the major leagues. And I fall back, and you see a lot of athletes talk about it now. I still wish the high school coaches would permit these athletes to play multiple sports. I'm a big fan of, you play football during football season, you play basketball during basketball season, and you play baseball during baseball season, and you allow them to sample all the different coaches. So it's not one coach who takes you all the way, all the different styles, all the different sports. And those are the things I worry about with the youth sports today.
Meanwhile, the Mets, remember them? They were big news. They're calling up outfielder AJ Ewing for today's series opener against the Tigers in New York. He is the Mets' number 2 prospect, number 28 in all of the major leagues. He's played only 12 games at AAA, but he had an 827 OPS in 51 plate appearances and 5 stolen bases. He excels on the bases. He stole 70 bags across 124 games in the minor leagues last year. All right, it's the Mets, Steve, so you always ask the questions. Desperation. Hey, we're going to start looking at the kids already because the season's over. They did have a roster spot. Let's see what he looks like. Which one is this at this point in the season, you think?
I think it's a combination of all of them. They need to jumpstart the team. They really need to jumpstart this offense. Their offense, scored 5 runs in their series against Arizona. They need to find some win. He's going to be starting today's game. He's going to be batting 8th for the Mets. If he can show with that speed that he can get on, I think you'll end up seeing him at the top of this lineup. Soto has dropped down to the 3rd slot today, so he's not batting at the top. Um, they need to get something, anything. And if it fails, now we get a look at our youth. We're not going to compete. They're 10 games below 500. So I think it's a win-win for them for anything, desperation to get the team to start playing better baseball.
Are they back to I'm fumbling through my paperwork, the worst team in Major League Baseball? I know that the Rockies and the Giants were toying with them for a little bit, but I'm pretty sure the Mets are solidly back there.
Yeah, the Rockies have 16 wins. The Mets are at 15. Even the Angels and Astros are sitting at 16. And my Red Sox are up to 17. They're playing great baseball right now. 5-5 in their last 10.
So the Mets at 15 wins, 25 losses, and a 375 winning percentage. As we mentioned, they play the Tigers, who are they're just sitting there like all of the American League Central, just sitting there. Tigers, who were in first place 2 weeks ago, are now back to 3rd place by a whopping 2 games. It's all bunched up. What a pitching matchup on paper, anyways. Flaherty is at Peralta for the Tigers at the Mets today.
Yeah, Flaherty in his last outing had a nice start. He had 10 Ks against the Red Sox. Peralta, he's not the ace for the Mets, but they brought him in as a big free agent. They thought he would be the difference maker to allow them to compete for the division and the National League. He's thrown the ball fine. He 5 innings, no runs in his last outing. It's just this Mets team can't score. That's the problem. They just they're just not, they're averaging 3.5 runs per game, and that's pretty consistent both on the road and at home. They just got to find a way to score some runs. The Tigers are struggling a bit. Scuba, hopefully he'll come back. Riley Green and McGonigal have been the 2 guys leading that team. Maybe Torkelson, he's had a couple of hits in the last few games. Maybe he can help ride it up because they need his power bat in the middle of that lineup.
In fact, you know what? Everybody right now in the major leagues is kind of like on. It's not cruise control, but not one team has done anything 5 times in a row, and that's very rare. Once you get into the month of May, there is not a streak team for more than 4. That we've got the Brewers have won 4 in a row, and you've got the Yankees, who we'll get to in a moment. They've lost 4, but not one team is 5 or more. So they're all just kind of playing with each other. Arizona Diamondbacks first baseman Carlos Santana.
That's right. Carlos Santana, the oldest active position player in the majors, suffered another setback from rehab. He's been sidelined for over a month since April 5th. Signed with the D backs as a free agent in early February. It's only his fifth IL stint in 17 years. It's like, please, Carlos, don't go out limping literally. Um, it's only because it's his name that it's even a story, Steve.
Yeah, he's pretty much winding down his career, and Arizona, they've won 3 straight with this. Had a shutout last night over Texas. I think this is a good pitching matchup. We need to see something out of Zach Gallen. He was their ace for the last several years, but he's been struggling. His last 2 starts, he's given up 10 runs. He needs to find it a little bit better. And Mackenzie Gore, this kid came up, a ton of talent, and has just had glimpses of brilliance. But this Texas team, they have one of the worst offenses, and they've had it for the last several years. They don't score. It's a shame they're at that 3.5 runs per game, and luckily, well, no, this game is at home. They're only averaging 2.5 runs per game at home. Think about that a second.
Oh my
2.5
gosh.
runs, and you want to compete, you got to find some offense. Corey Seager has been atrocious so far this season. He's their big shortstop, their big name, sitting third in that lineup, and he has done nothing this whole season.
Meanwhile, the Reds are going to place right-hander Rhett Lauder on the 15-day IL. In fact, they did that this morning. Manager Terry Francona told reporters that he's headed to the IL after his start on May 7th, which is when he was pulled due to right shoulder discomfort. We did talk about the fact that his MRI didn't reveal any structural damage. He is going to throw for the time being for not off a mound, and Francona indicated the IL placement is somewhat precautionary. So Francona is really downplaying this. He's basically saying there's nothing here. He's taking a few days off. We needed a roster spot, but we keep seeing this stuff, especially with the pitcher, Steve. It starts small pretty soon. Oh, out for the season, out for months. And the Reds have already had their share of challenges this year. Again, they're in that that bunched National League Central, only 5 games back. But they don't need guys going down, and I still can't tell where the Lauder thing is.
Yeah, and he's one of their promising young pitchers. He started off the season great. He came into May in his first outing at Pittsburgh. He gave up 8 runs in an inning and a third. His last one, he only went 3 innings, so you knew something was wrong there. He's been pitching through that injury, so they're going to shut him down. The Reds, they're still above 500. They've been outscored by 33 runs or so by their opponents here, but they got a good spot. I like the spot for him today. Brady Singer, they brought him over in a trade with the Royals against Miles McCullough. McCullough is not a very good pitcher. If you remember, he was with the Cardinals, and he had several really good years, but his last 3 seasons, it's not even the Max Scherzer, where Max Scherzer at times shows a little brilliance. This guy has been terrible the whole season long. Reds are sitting about $1.30 to $1.40 favorite here, and I really got to believe the Reds are going to show something tonight. Maybe they'll score 3 runs and win 3-2.
As you mentioned, the Reds are over 500. They're at 22-19, and that's good enough for last place in that goofy National League Central. They're only 5 games out. They're tied with the Pirates. Meanwhile, they are playing the Nationals today. The Nationals have the opposite record of 19-22, which is under 500 and good enough for 9 games back in the National League East. We mentioned the Yankees. We alluded to the fact that they have now lost 4 in a row, but what an exciting day yesterday was. Ryan Weathers, no-hit bid, pitching for the first time since May 2nd after a severe viral infection caused him to lose 9 pounds. Good Lord. He took a no-hitter and a 2-0 lead into the 7th inning against the Orioles last night, and Weathers said after the game he had no idea. The way he phrased it was, quote, "I was walking guys and stuff like that. So it never really rang a bell what was going on," end quote. And, of course, the rule, nobody said anything to him. So he said, "I didn't know." He's pulling a Jean Van de Velde. "I had no idea I had a no-hitter." By the way, he only issued 3 walks, but his memory was, "I'm walking people left and right." One to open the game, another in the 5th inning, and the last in the 7th, which was the last batter that he faced. Weathers threw 101 pitches
in his comeback from the virus, and Yankees manager Aaron Boone summoned in the bullpen, and bye-bye no-hitter, bye-bye win. The Orioles won 3-2 for the fourth in a row for the Yankees loss.
Yeah, the Yankees really need to rebound with Will Warren on the mound today. They're about a $1.40 favorite. They're going against Baltimore. Trevor Rogers is coming off the IL. He's been out for 15 days due to illness, and I have not been able to find out what exactly has transpired with him. But the Yankees lineups worry me a little bit. That 2-3-4 Judge, Rice, and Bellinger has been really good, but Trent Grisham's hitting below 200. Jazz Chisholm, who's playing this year, and he's looking for a huge contract because right now, going into the season, they put him in as arguably the best infielder in the free agent class. He's hitting like 201. Ryan McMahon, who they brought over, is hitting 210. So really, the Yankees lineup is not getting any production outside of that 2-3-4 spot. But luckily, they have that pitching. The pitching has been outstanding. Warren did get hit hard his last outing against Texas, of all teams. Gave up 6 runs in 4 innings. Outside of that, though, he's been pretty good all season long.
So the American League East, they're just cannibalizing one another, except for the Red Sox. They're not invited to the party. You got the Yankees and the Orioles going at each other, and the Rays are in first place with the Yankees losing 4 in a row. The Rays have won twice in a row. They've got a 2-game lead over the Yankees, and it's more and more every single day. It's like the Rays and the Yankees are pulling away from the Orioles, Blue Jays, and Red Sox, who are 9, 9.5, and 10 back, respectively, as of right now. And the Rays are in the process of taking care of the Blue Jays. They play today as well. And so if we just keep seeing these wins, it's going to be all double digits in the loss column for everybody that isn't the Rays or the Yankees. But Tampa Bay has McClanahan against Corbin for Toronto.
Yeah, at some point, I got to admit how good this Rays team really is. I love watching their style. They just have much more no names, but their staff has been outstanding. They got Shane McClanahan on the mound today. I believe he's gone his last 3 outings without giving up a run. He missed all of last year due to injury. He's a slight favorite in this game, and the Rays just keep getting it done. Simpson, their leadoff guy, this is arguably the fastest guy in baseball. I believe he is not starting today. He had a slight injury in yesterday's game, so he will be out. But Caminero, Aranda at first base. You got Diaz, their DH. The team gets on. They move runners around, and they're playing Toronto. Patrick Corbin, he's with Miles McCullough. It just hasn't done a whole lot for many years. He's still living off his World Series he won with the Nationals many years ago. I'm not a big fan of him. He keeps going out there, but he's actually been decent so far this year. The last couple of games, he's gone 5 innings, only gave up 2 runs in both games. But this Blue Jays lineup is just a shell of what it's been before. Even Vladdy Guerrero, he's hitting 300, but I think he only has like 2 home runs on the season, so he's not hitting for power either. Springer's hitting under 200. He's been battling injuries so far this season. The Blue Jays, we all remember going to 7 in last year's World Series. This is a shell of the team of what we saw play last year.
And then there is the big question of what is going on in Los Angeles. 2 completely different directions and storylines here that we're supposed to dive into and take very seriously. But this is what happens. We actually ironically use the example with a different Los Angeles instead of the team, but the person. When Shohei Ohtani goes 0 for 18, everybody lights their hair on fire. Oh my God, Shohei's in a slump, and then he's fine. When you're the Dodgers, people pay attention to the fact that, hello, did you wake up this morning and see they're not in first place? That doesn't happen much. Padres have won 2 in a row. The Dodgers have lost 3 in a row and are a half game behind the Padres. And the other side to that is something going on with the Giants. So is something bad going on with the Dodgers? Is something good going on with the Giants? Because the Giants, Rafael Devers, we were just talking about him the other day. He goes out and he homers early. He draws a bases loaded walk that breaks a 7th inning tie. And the Giants, they just pummeled the wobbly, dying on the vine Dodgers 9-3 in the opening of their 4-game series.
and they'll go. So, Steve, we already previewed the pitchers yesterday. We'll do it again today. The Giants are throwing Hauser. The Dodgers have Yamamoto on the mound. But real questions. I asked you this a few days ago. The Dodgers have lost 6 of their last 10. Any other team, okay, you're 4-6 of your last 10. Big deal. The Dodgers, people are like, oh my god, you can't do that. This is a blip, right? I mean, we get a lot of Dodger games here. I'm not seeing, when I watch them, I don't see a limp team. I don't see a team that doesn't belong on the field. I don't see a team that makes me go, that's not the Dodgers. Or maybe I'm missing something. To me, it's like it's a non-story with both these teams, basically.
I think it's pretty much a non-story. We are surprised with the Dodgers, and I'll take it a step farther. They've lost 8 of their last 12. They're just not playing good baseball right now. Shohei is in a slump, went 0 for again last night. His average is down to 233. But Mookie Betts is back. He did go 1 for 5 in last night's game, but Mookie is back. He's a big part of this offense. They need to get Mookie back on track the way he was when he first came over to the Dodgers. Last year, he's had an off season. This year, he's been mostly hurt. The thing with the Giants, though, man, they got to be asking the schedule, like, just let us play the Padres and the Dodgers. We hold our own against those two teams. All the other teams that they play against, you know, they should be winning, and they're just not doing it. Rafi Devers, though, 3 homers in his last 5 games. He's starting to hit the ball. This is the Devers that the Giants need to even attempt to compete in this game. I thought last night's game was a really good feel-good game for the Giants, get a little confidence going. They already know they can play with the Dodgers when they're right. It's just, and the Padres, it's just all the other teams that they struggle with. But tonight's game's not a good matchup. I mean, Yamamoto's a little bit over a 3-1 favorite in this game. He's had an outstanding season. He's throwing the ball great. His whip sitting at 1. And Hauser, all those last couple of outings, he's been pretty decent. He's been serviceable. He's just, they brought him in, and he just hasn't been able to consistently produce. And unless Devers can have another big game and really give them a shot, I just don't see the Dodgers losing again tonight.
By the way, when the Giants wrap up with the Dodgers, they actually come to Sacramento for the weekend series against the A's, and then they go to Arizona before going back to San Francisco. So, with all of that said, Steve, with everything going on in Los Angeles with the Dodgers, are you in any way? I mean, we always stand by our predictions on the show, but are you right now in this moment? Are you wavering at all on the Dodgers as the team, not only to beat in the World Series, but probably the winning team to win the World Series once we get there?
I'm not wavering at all on the Dodgers winning the World Series and being there. The only thing I'm wavering on was my earlier in the season comments about will they make the run at that 116 wins, which I think at this point is safe to say that's not going to happen. I still think they're going to get to 100 plus. I don't think the Dodgers are panicking. There's no reason to. They will be there, and come October, they will be the best team in baseball. I'm just hoping that the Braves, the Cubs, and really the Yankees can find a way to put up a fight to contain the Dodgers and give me someone to root for in that World Series or the National League Championship Series other than the Dodgers.
Now, this is so everybody can keep up. You're usually pro dynasty. You like dynasties, but I know you like them because it gives people something to hate, something to care about, etc. Is this anti dynasty, anti Dodger, anti all of it? Is this a sports book thing that I don't understand?
Nah, I think it's more and credit to the Dodgers finding the loophole in the collective bargaining with these deferred salaries and to these players. They found a loophole. Their owner was rich enough to be able to exploit it and use it to their advantage. And I'm telling you, ever since the Otani contract, I have said we're not going to see baseball. And I think that was the moment that showed the Dodgers are playing chess where the rest of the owners are playing checkers. And the rest of the owners have a say in what that collective bargaining agreement is. And I don't know if the Dodgers are going to, obviously, they're going to voice opposition, but they're one of 30 votes. They're not going to be able to change that. and they're going to have a setback when it comes time for that, and they're not going to be able to continue doing what they're doing, which is far superior than every other ownership in the major leagues.
Now, the reason I asked you about where you were with the Dodgers winning the World Series in terms of a prediction, not a hope, was if we were doing it, and it's just first of all, it's too early, it's too much. But if we were doing like weekly MLB power rankings, if I understand your answer correctly in the way we do our power rankings, you would still have the Dodgers at number one because you're looking at it long ball kind of thing.
Yes, I'd still have the Dodgers number one. And just looking at the standings in the American League, I think the only two teams that can beat the Dodgers possibly in a World Series are the Yankees and the Mariners. And that gets into starting rotations. The Mariners, if they can get their offense going, I mean, Cal Riley's having a terrible season. I think he's down to hitting like a buck 53 after hitting 60 homers last year. Raleigh's just been atrocious this year. But those are the only two teams in the American League I think can make a run at the Dodgers. And in the National League, I honestly believe it is the Braves, the Cubs. I don't think the Padres can. And I can't put them there, but one of the teams, and it's not just, Mizorowski, but you look at this Brewers team, and I remember watching a conversation with one of their like experts, that follow the team, write about the team, and they felt Logan Henderson was actually a better pitcher than Mizorowski, and it caught my attention because I'm like, dude, you're crazy. Mizorowski to me is one of the top pitching prospects. And they really felt that Logan Henderson, who's having a really good season so far, if you got Mizorowski, you got Henderson going as well as this guy believes he is, you got to beat the Dodgers with pitching. You're not going to be able to out hit them. So if you can stack up three quality starting pitchers, you got a chance. And the Phillies, I can't go there. Christopher Sanchez has not been the same. Zach Wheeler, he's just coming back. Aaron Nola hasn't been a good pitcher in 2 years. So I really think it's the Cubs and the Braves are the only two teams in the National League with the Brewers outside, but they don't have the hitting to be able to compete with the Brewers on the outside. And that's it. I don't think any other team can beat the Dodgers. And I don't think any of the teams I mentioned are going to beat the Dodgers.
Well, and you're higher on the Cubs than I am. I'm not saying that they're not a good team, but to me, it's the Braves are the only chance. It's only me. And the reason I bring all this up and I keep looping it back is the way most people do their power rankings is they do the old, well, if it was today, like if today the World Series started, or if today the playoffs started, or whatever. And I like Steve's more 30,000 foot view better. That's why we do it that way. Okay, great. That means a team wins 7 in a row since you wrote your last column, and suddenly that team, the Chicago White Sox, is number one. I mean, how stupid are you going to be? But ESPN, they did put so if you use that template though, the right now thing, they did say right now it's Braves, Dodgers, Cubs. That's Major League Baseball power rankings. They say, and I can't argue with any of that. Braves, Dodgers, Cubs using their formula, followed by the Rays and the Yankees for the top 5.
And you just have to use some common sense. Have won 2 straight. 3 of the last 4, they're going against the Dodgers, who have lost 8 of their last 12 from an odds maker. And this is why I have the view I have. The Dodgers are a $3 favorite today. If you went by how they're playing exactly at that moment, that's not the price you would have. Yes, take your shot. Go bet the Giants. You're going to get like plus 260, something like that on the Giants. Take your shot, but the Dodgers are a better team. That's why they're a $3 favorite in today's game.
Well, and since we did the pre-mortem, if that's a thing, with the Dodgers and who could possibly beat them, et cetera. In the American League, I assume, I guess, right? Is it? Are you saying the only team that can beat the Yankees is the Mariners, since the Mariners were the only team that could beat the Dodgers, or one of them, from the American League?
For the most part, yes, but man, like I said, Tampa Bay, I got to start giving them some respect with what they are doing. Tampa Bay has been able to figure the Giants out. They've figured everybody out. They're playing great baseball. Um, but I can't put them there. I just can't. As good as they are, they're in first place, 2 games ahead of the Yankees. I cannot put them ahead of the Yankees, and the only other team is the Mariners. I think in the American League that can beat the Yankees.
I'll tell you what, Tampa Bay will get a ton of new fans if they actually got to the World Series to play the Dodgers, because the rest of America, first of all, will be like, Tampa Bay has a baseball team? Does Tom Brady play there? And then they'll go, all right, I'm gonna be a Tampa Bay Rays fan against the Dodgers.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime advertiser Sue Berry, that's Berry with an A, is more important now than ever. Sue and her team have been serving Northern Nevada and the outlying areas for 30 years, and her experience in both commercial and residential lending is vital, as every day we're bombarded with news of interest rates, the market, the economy, and a bunch of other stuff that Sue can actually make sense of while everyone else's eyes glaze over. Now remember, it's Sue Berry with an A, B-A-R-R-Y, SueBerry.com. Most people think berry is spelled like a fruit or Halle Berry, but no, it's Sue Berry with an A, like soul singer Barry White's first name.
I've heard people say.
Stop that. Sue is a broker versus a retail lender, which means she can shop over 150 different lenders to get you the very best rate possible. And on average, someone who uses a broker like Sue saves over $10,000 per loan, which includes refinancing. And if you have a rate at 6.5% or higher, call Sue for a free quote now on a refinance. Sue Berry and her incredible team from Barrett Financial can be found at SueBerry.com. That's Berry with an A. I've been working with Sue and recommending her to you for years. All you need to do is call her now so she can get you pre-approved. Just call your residential and commercial lending expert, Sue Berry, at 775-843-9983. Oh, Rob, stop. You're going too fast. What was the number again? 775-843-9983. Or just head to SueBerry.com. The number's right there. Berry is B-A-R-R-Y. Sue Berry with an A.com. That's Sue Berry, B-A-R-R-Y.com. SueBerry.com.
Disclaimer, Sue Berry, NMLS number 366040. Barrett Financial Group, LLC, NMLS number 181106, Nevada 5091, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP. MAP, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you, all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com.
You know those guys you see in a sports bar laughing and enjoying each other and just talking sports? That's this. Back to the Rob and Steve Show. Email them, ras@theradnetwork.com.
I was trying to find the specific answer for you, Steve. We were talking about 6'9" high schooler Brody Bumia, who worked a no-hitter, struck out 20 for his high school in Massachusetts. And your question was, because you did the math, it's 7 innings. I hadn't even done the math, or else I would have researched this before I did the story. You pointed out, well, if he struck out 20, how'd the other guy get out? There's one, he struck out everybody except one guy. So I didn't get that yet, but he did. But he plunked the very first batter of the game. Remember I told you at first he was like, I didn't even know what was going on because I was just walking everybody. He actually hit the first batter of the game, who burned him and worked into the change on. And the lefty plunked the first batter of the game, who stole second and third before scoring on a passed ball. So that's how they scored. He still had a no-hitter, but they never tell me who got, because he scored on a passed ball. They don't tell us the other out. I'm looking. I will find it for you because that's an excellent question.
Which then raises some questions for me on his control. I love the, you know what? I throw 100. I'm going to hit the first batter. No one's going to dig into that box. They're all going to move as far away as possible and just kind of swing, hoping they can make contact. But being the guy stole second, stole third, says, okay, he doesn't have the best, move over the bases. He has a hard time holding runners on base. And then the wild pitch is like, there we go. That's how we're going to manufacture a run. So give the other team credit.
We know that the NFL will not have a work stoppage with the refs. We're still trying to get some specifics on exactly what the collective bargaining agreement looked like there. And the NFL seems to have figured out their TV thing where they were going and strong-arming everybody for 2026, especially since the schedule comes out in, 50 hours-ish. So they've got that all worked out. So next on the list, they're still going to keep pressuring all the networks and all the streamers, but the CBA. And are we going to get 18 games? And what's it going to look like? And what's the schedule going to look like? They're getting more and more serious. And that means both sides are already starting to kind of plant their flags and give you an idea of leverage. You've got the FIFA World Cup. That's soccer. Will not be covered much on the Rob and Steve Show, if at all. However, you'll hear a lot about it. Oh, goal! It's in all of the North America countries. It's in Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And one of the things that a lot of NFL players were told are paying attention to is they are watching some of their stadiums get new grass fields installed for the FIFA World Cup games, and it reinforces the NFL players' desire to move away from turf. Half of the NFL stadiums, 15 of the 30, use some sort of artificial turf. Players have become more vocal in recent years about their desire to play on grass. The NFL Players Association Executive Director J.C. Treader says, quote, we polled 1,700 players. I mean, they are the Players Association. They have email and text access to them. We polled 1,700 players. 92% say they want grass over turf. And this is being reported as here's one of the things we're going to put in our basket. The players are going to ask for this, especially if you're going to make us play 18 games now, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're starting. This is like the NFL schedule, Steve. You get little drips and drabs of what's coming. This is the drip and the drab of what's coming with the collective bargaining agreement in 2 years or whatever.
And the questions that I would ask there is, well, my first thought was, boy, be glad these players didn't play on AstroTurf and what we used to see in these stadiums where it was like this fake plastic grass on top of cement. If they hate the field turf that they have, they'd have never existed with that. And turf toe's pretty much gone away. We had that all the time there. But as the stadiums have moved to domes, which makes it difficult to grow grass in the stadium as we see the retractable fields. But now you go into Detroit and these other places. Where are they growing the grass? Are you flying in new grass every home game? Because not like in Detroit, they can push the field outside and grow this great luscious grass like they can in Las Vegas and Arizona. So do the players even think about that? And so you have 3 straight weeks of home games. the grass gets torn up in these games. We see it all the time. And I'm not saying multi-use facilities are not having rock concerts on Friday night and playing a game on Sunday. I'm just saying just 3 straight home games. It takes a while because you see it with these other teams that they go out on the road and they're going to be gone for a couple of weeks. Okay, now's the time to go patch the grass up because it'll give them like 10 days to have the field recover. Does none of that occur to any of the players, or are they just thinking it's going to look like golf course, prior to a PGA tournament for their field every single Sunday?
Well, I mean, if we're to believe that 92%, which is an enormous amount of active players, are saying, I want to play on grass, then aren't we supposed to believe they're saying that solely because their experience is it feels better? Maybe they don't hurt as much afterwards. I don't know that, and I also wonder how much of it is psychosomatic. How much of it is, oh, I know I'm not playing on actual grass, and so I'm just going to say that I would rather play on natural grass because it's natural and it's softer, kind of thing.
And if that's the case, yeah, look, I got artificial turf in one of my houses. I have natural grass in the other. I go out and I lay down on my lawn. I'd much rather lay down in the natural grass, but you have to understand the being realistic on the use of that field, not just the feel of, yeah, it's softer, it absorbs the tackle. I'd love to have that too, but then make these companies who make the field turf to continue to improve the field turf. And where everybody has gone to that over the last many years, and we all know this, but have you ever heard anyone saying they've improved on the field turf to make it softer, to make it more grass like? Or what appears to me is we've accepted the field turf is far better than AstroTurf, and that's just the product we have. And they haven't done anything anywhere to improve on it, other than maybe they use different rubber when they shred it, in tennis shoes to shred it and fill it.
I don't know what the companies are doing. I know for me, it's the second one. The difference between field turf and artificial turf is night and day. And you described it perfectly. Artificial turf was like playing on concrete. I somebody, I forget what, somebody asked me when I was in high school or whatever, and I'm like, well, I'm conditioned for this because I grew up playing in the court, on the street, on asphalt, because it might as well just, it's the same thing in terms of that's how it feels when you fall and you hit your head or you hit your hand or whatever. So I do wonder how much of it is, hey, look, this is a lot better. It's not as good as it could be, but it's a lot better. And did we just stop there? I don't know.
And if you think about it, with the the AstroTurf, you got rug burn. And we don't
Yes.
even talk about it. You got the rug burn too. You're not getting rug burn on field turf. So it's not even a comparison between the two.
Speaking of all of this, including the referees and such, the UFL, it's struggling along. It's trying to do what it can. It's a good punchline for a lot of people. It is getting credit for a few different things, like they try out these new rules, like what is it? You kick a 60-yard field goal, you get 4 points, something like that. The big thing that a lot of people are paying attention to, especially in light of sports betting, the refs almost not coming back for the NFL, is how transparent the UFL is about their officiating to a lot of people. On Friday night of last weekend, they did something that the NFL has never done and probably never will do. The game between the Columbus Aviators, yes, that's a football team in the UFL, and the St. Louis Battlehawks included an interview of field judge Gabriel DeLeon during the game. So the old mic 'em up thing that we do with baseball players and coaches, it's they mic'd up one of the field judge, Gabriel DeLeon, and the Fox guys asked him questions about some failure to call pass interference on one earlier in the game. Another question regarding the difficulty of drawing the line between, I'm not sure what, but some type of drawing a line as an official. He wouldn't answer that one, but at least he's on. I mean, even if it was scripted, at least it's something. That's the word transparency. Obviously, The NFL will never do anything like this, but a lot of people are pointing out the more fans see and hear the communications with officials regarding the effort to get calls right, the less they suspect something fishy is going on. The problem is that sentence that I see, Steve. See, you're in this, you're in the forest, and you're doing this your whole life, sports betting, etc. And so you have that more focused view of this as the outside sports guy looking in. The more fans see and hear the communications with officials regarding the effort to get calls right, the less they'll suspect that something fishy is going on. Of course, that's true. And so when the NFL doesn't do it, it makes people more skeptical because if the transparency makes us think that nothing fishy is going on, then the lack of transparency makes us think, what are they hiding? And all of those stories we've always heard, and how do they get the logos right for the Super Bowl colors before the season even starts? And pretty soon it be look, the NFL ain't gonna do this, but I love that the UFL is doing it.
And it's kind of a shame that they're not embracing that a little bit more, and especially bring in the technology, because I would love to hear a guy on mic'd up and all of a sudden it comes in and New York is in his ear saying, we thought that was pass interference. And he's like, no, he didn't really push it. I'd love to hear that conversation with the guys with the technology to the person, and then figure out what the call is going to be. And one's going to be right, one's going to be wrong, but at least we know what happened. As you said, with the no transparency, then we all go to, what are they trying to hide? And I'm going to take the same thing, but go to a different thing. As you know, I absolutely love the NHL lottery draw. Transparent, we saw it all. The NBA had theirs, and I'm watching it, and they come out in the fourth place team, the Chicago Bulls, the third place. And it may have been the exact same way they drew the numbers and all of that, but it was done in a secret room an hour beforehand. You watched it play out, and they opened the envelopes and say, this is the team picking this spot. It wasn't even close. For me, it was night and day. One was full transparency. I love it. I was on the edge of my seat. And the other one was blah, boring, brought into questions. Oh, yeah, sure. We're rewarding these tanking teams. The thing the NBA is trying to, and they could have been identical, but just the presentation of it. And that's where the UFL, with the presentation of the referee being mic'd up so we can hear it, so it ends those questions because of the transparency, goes a long ways to the fans.
And look, you're never going to cure all of it, okay? My little joke is what people would say. If the NFL ever did anything like that, you would still have conspiracy nuts who would say, well, that was all scripted and planned. What? The whole thing, the play was too. I mean, there's a point at which you can't appease everyone. The appearance of transparency is such a big difference, and people would love that. And there is a way to show everything that Steve's talking about, even if you got to do it like a minute later because you got to make sure that you dub out, or because we can do this stuff so quick with audio editing. There's no reason they couldn't be doing all of that and letting us hear it and see it and feel it, making people feel as good as you can feel about a call that maybe you disagree with seeing on the field.
Yes, for me, the more technology we use, the more transparent we can make our leagues. I think only enhances the product for both the fans and, I believe, for the players as well.
A couple of signing notes. Well, this is a non-signing note, so this is like a non-announcement. But we have been following the story of Odell Beckham Jr. Is he coming back to the New York Giants? Coach John Harbaugh said he's talked to OBJ 3 or 4 times over the past week. They remain in touch about reuniting. It will play out over the next month or so into training camp. Translation, nobody wants OBJ. I don't even know if the Giants do. I don't know what Harbaugh's angle is here, but it's not like a bunch of teams are screaming down everyone's throat to get me OBJ. But Harbaugh is being very conciliatory towards him.
Yes, and OBJ hasn't contributed in the NFL for many, many years. Remember when he had the injury and he was trying to get a full year guaranteed contract, but he wasn't going to play until like the last 4 weeks of the season or something like that. I still think his agent and he are still under the delusion that he is an elite wide receiver in this league. And the reality is, just sign a contract, get into camp, get in somewhere, league minimum, whatever it is, bet on yourself, prove you can play, and then next year you'll maybe be able to make some money. But I'm not sure if anybody will take a chance on him at this point at all.
The other one, at first, when I saw the story, I rolled my eyes and I said, "Who cared?" Then I remembered Steve's reaction to a similar story that is referenced here. And look, there's a ton of money, obviously, in sports and obviously in football, and everybody should get what they can get. That's great. There are some numbers, though, or there are some things that every now and then make you go, "Wow." For example, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, the story is not really the story. The Pittsburgh Steelers agreed to terms with kicker Chris Boswell on a 4-year, $28 million extension, which ties him for the average per year highest salary for a kicker. This is when Steve went apoplectic on us a few weeks ago. The Cowboys, Brandon Aubrey, they are the two highest paid kickers at $7 million a year. And it is something about that number when you, for a kicker, that does make you go, wow, they're all top of rate card here.
I don't understand it. First of all, the 7 million. I wouldn't have played Aubrey 7 million, but if I'm going to play Boswell the same, I'm going to pay Aubrey. I'd much rather have Aubrey as my catcher. Chris Boswell, when we talk about the best kickers in the league, he's not even in the top 10, I think, if you were to sit down and go kickers. And kickers, to me, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of money. I think you need to, because you don't want that kicker that keeps costing you games. But I gotta believe you can get a good kicker in this league by just holding tryouts, as we've seen teams do that. The kickers are more like relief pitchers. They have good years, they have bad years. Move on where they're having the bad year. And what I don't think I'd pay him more than like 3 million to Aubrey. So I'm certainly not paying 7 million to any other kicker.
Well, this is the interesting thing, is we have to compare it based on what they've done. They have made him equal to Brandon Aubrey, $7 million a year. Okay, well, and so here's the bona fides for Chris Boswell. He has had at least a 90% success rate on field goals in 7 of his 11 seasons in Pittsburgh. He also has never missed a postseason field goal attempt, going 19 for 19. These are the things that qualify him to be the highest paid kicker in the league. Last season, 27 of 32 on field goals. That's 84%. He was 97.7% on PATs and 88% in his career on field goal attempts. That just doesn't sound like the highest paid kicker in the league, just numbers wise.
And then I go into, okay, what were you at 50 plus yards?
Right.
We didn't hit on that. What were you at 55 plus? I mean, I can have Tomlin as my coach, and I know he can't make anything over 45 yards. So I can make my kicker have great numbers. I just know that if I'm farther out than 45 yards, we're going for it. And what? So then you're going to pay the kicker because he's really not very good. That's, I'm going to pay top dollar to a relief pitcher because he's good in the 6th inning and he can shut down their opponents in the 6th inning, but he can't close games. He can't make, and that's where I give Aubrey, if I'm going to pay anybody, it's going to be him. Yeah. But how many games is he really going to win with those 60 plus yard field goals that he has? And as fans, we're now to the point, because the kickers are so good, and it's not just a couple, but all of the kickers are so good. You set up a 57-yard field goal for any kicker in the NFL, maybe not Bosworth, because I don't know what his numbers are. And you as a fan, you're going to expect him to make that 90 or more percent. If he's only 8 for 10, you're already saying, he sucks. He's not very good. How did he miss this? So the standards we've set are so unrealistic for kickers, but they've gotten that good. And if I can take 29 kickers in the league and make that 57-yard field goal pretty much routine all the time, why am I paying for that one other guy $7 million?
Have a great Tuesday. We're back tomorrow.
This has been a presentation of the Rob and Steve Sports Show, brought to you by the Rad Network and is copyrighted by the radnetwork.com and Williams Broadcasting for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, account, or descriptions of whatever Rob and Steve just talked about without the express permission of the Rad Network, Williams Broadcasting, and Rob's really mean lawyers is prohibited.